Hello and welcome to my second part of my vinyl collection exposition, and today I'm going to be showing off exclusively Arctic Monkeys vinyl. This whole video will be about Arctic Monkeys because I have quite a lot of their records and it's a band that I could talk about for quite a while. Arctic Monkeys are probably in my top 10, 5, maybe 5 bands, probably not 5. Well, maybe. Arctic Monkeys, for example, to put this into perspective, I don't think they have a bad album. I think all of them are good for in their own way. Obviously, some are better than others, and that doesn't mean I don't think they have a bad song, because they have plenty of bad songs and they have plenty of bad moments. But overall, I think they have the most consistent discography that I've ever heard. I mean, they only have what, 6 albums, but even that, 6 albums, and I don't think they've missed once. But here we go. So the first album is Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, which came out in 2006. The single I Bet You Look Good in the Dance Floor was released before the album. It went to #1. And basically they rocketed into, like, popularity before the album even came out. They played the Carlin stage at a festival, and it was in a smaller tent, and basically the tent was crowded because that song had come out and that this album had come out, and basically that was them. They were good to go. They had, they were the Arctic Monkeys instantly. This album, I feel, is so esoteric in terms of British nightlife that I think maybe it's difficult for people from elsewhere to fully appreciate the nitty-gritty of it. If there was any visual aid for this, I would say if you watch something like, actually I don't know, I mean it's dirty, it's a dirty British album. It's like Skins, and it's like, it's not even like Skins, but it does capture this whole working class sort of mid 2000s aesthetic and feeling. And this whole album for me is a 10. I don't think there's a bad song in this album. Firstly, I think that the way that this album is laid out is incredible. So basically it starts off with The View from the Afternoon. The first line is, "Anticipation has a habit to set you up for disappointment." And I think that's a great opening to an album. But basically, this whole album is someone getting ready to go out to get drunk and go to clubs, and then him going to these clubs and what happens there, and then him going home, and then the next day, and also a plethora of other sort of related things. But there is the lyrics are sort of esoteric. I don't feel like Americans would understand the reference to red light indicates doors are secured. Maybe they do it. Maybe they have that in taxis. I don't know. But things like that, But yeah, it's got some great songs in it. Everyone's heard I Bet You Look in the Dance Floor, and maybe even Mardy Bum. But the songs in here, like When the Sun Goes Down, is one of the best songs I've ever heard. I mean, the lyrics are incredible. It's about a prostitute on the streets whose life is shit, and then she has all these scummy man. It was originally called Scummy Man. It's the story of a guy who wants to hire her, and it's just her, it's just basically, the song is about that, this really dirty, scummy guy who wants to hire her services. And then you've got songs from The Ritz to the Rubble, where it's a sort of, a reflection on you, like on a night out, and you're at this high and you're in a club and you love it, and then you're back to your normal shitty life. It's just, this whole album encapsulates the sentiment of a British night out, and the subsequent morning, the subsequent day after, where you've got the regret and you've got the sort of sadness of, like, well, that's, that was temporary. I can't remember half of it, but I imagine it was great. So yeah, I could ramble on about this album for a long time. This is only pressed on black vinyl. Unfortunately, don't have the Vinyl Me Please Is it Vinyl Me Please? The smoke coloured record, the cigarette one, which is fucking amazing. And but yeah, this is their first album, and it's too good, man. Again, this is an album for me. I don't understand how anyone could listen to that and go, "Oh no, that's shit." Like, it's just not. It's not, you know. Next up, they have sort of a similar style, but better produced. So this album was, you know, sort of abrasive, punky, disco-y, and very, very fuzzy. Which it was like a punk album essentially, but it was a bit its own thing. Then we have this, which was their follow-up album. So this came out in 2007. So this was the year after their debut. They brought out, they had to follow up with something, and they followed up with another fucking amazing album. This album is so good. This is Arctic Monkeys' favourite worst nightmare. And this is the record here. I'll open it up. It's a gatefold. So yeah, this is our second album, and they brought out singles such as Brainstorm and Fluorescent Adolescent. And I love how this album still has the energy that was in the first album, but it's just a bit more focused on songwriting and structure, rather than sort of, I don't know, bounciness sort of thing. It comes with a booklet, just with certain like images to do with the aesthetic of the album. It's pressed on black vinyl, with these labels, if I forgot what's the name of it. But yeah, this album is it's tough for me because every time I listen to Arctic Monkeys, I change my mind about what album's the best. But this album is also up there. You've got songs like Fluorescent Adolescent, as I said, Brainstorm. You've got 505, obviously, is the slow, sad song, although I'd say that I prefer Only Ones Who Know to 505. You get songs like Teddy Picker, D's for Dangerous, Balaclava, what else is on there? Let me have a look. Do Me a Favour. How could I forget that? Do Me a Favour. So they had more like slowed up songs or more emotive songs like 505, Do Me a Favour, and The Only Ones Who Know. Those songs are a bit more contemplative than the first album, or songs like Brainstorm. But again, for me, it's hard to rate these albums because this album it's not as good as the first, in my opinion, because the first, it managed to encapsulate something that is just, you know, is inimitable. Even for them, I don't think they could imitate their own first album, which I hope, you know, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they did something different. And that's what they did with each album. With each of their albums, they did something different, and it worked every time, in my opinion. So that was Favourite Worst Nightmare. And then comes a departure and a visit to Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age, and they made an album that was desert rock, or yeah, I mean, there's no really other way to describe it. It's very heavily influenced by Josh Homme, obviously, in Queens of the Stone Age. Alex Turner was always admittedly a massive fan of his, so I'm pretty sure Josh Homme produced this. As you can see, there's the gatefold there. Again, it's just pressed on black vinyl like most of these are, but it comes with a booklet here with sort of black and white photos of the band, and then I believe there's lyrics. Yeah, we've got some lyrics here for the album as well. Now this album is the hipster's favourite album. You know, but it's still, again, I cannot see past how anyone couldn't like this. A lot of references to Alex Turner's penis in this, which is quite something. But we've got songs like, I mean, obviously Cornerstone. Again, if you're looking for the more contemplative songs, we'll start with them. Cornerstone is there, Secret Door is there, incredible. Then you get hits like Crying Lightning and Pretty Visitors, which is essentially a rap song. I mean, it really is. Like, it's like a rock instrumental with Alex Turner you know, essentially rapping. You've got songs My Propeller, Dangerous Animals, Potion Approaching, Fire in the Thud. There are a few songs I don't like. I don't like the Jeweler's Hands and things like that. But this whole album is consistent and it's different. Again, this is nothing like Favourite Worst Nightmare. If you were to listen to, say, let's say, Cornerstone versus, you know, Do Me a Favour or something, or My Propeller v Brian Storm, it's very different, but they still manage to hit. The hits are hits. Crying Lightning is a hit, you know, stuff like that. So this is Humbug, and this is where I feel their first 3 albums was them showing off that they can do whatever they want, and they do it so in depth and so acutely that they can basically digress into whatever pocket of genre of music that they like and create something that is good. And as we progress, you can see that is definitely the case. Next up, we have what a lot of people believe to be their worst album, and I would be inclined to agree with it, but I do not like the vocabulary used there, like worst. I do not think that they have a bad album, so to say worst just implies that I don't like it. This is Suck It and See, which came out in 2011, which is now what, 11 years ago? Well, no, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. This album is a love album. It's essentially Alex Turner writing love songs. And I love it. I think it's really good. You know, there's some... This is probably the album with the least amount of amazing songs. So the songs that I'm not really bothered about, for example, I'm not bothered about All My Own Stunts. Brick by Brick is famously memed for being a terrible Arctic Monkeys song. And She's Thunderstorms is you know. Apart from that, you've got tracks like, Pile Driver Waltz, Love Is a Laser Quest, and Suck It and See are 3 of the best Arctic Monkeys songs. Like, these songs are so good. The songwriting, the sort of, it's strange, again, with the esoteric stuff. It's like esoteric, but like the only person that can understand the esoteric nature of it is Alex Turner, which I love that. Like the lyric, I etched the face of a stopwatch on the back of a raindrop and did the swap for the sand in an hourglass. I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, I don't understand what that means, but I love it. They've got, you know, so this is probably the album with the slow songs and the love songs, so Black Treacle. But then you've got Don't Sit Down Because I Moved Your Chair, which is a sort of comedic, funny song where, you know, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the lyrics are, you know, people doing stupid things like kung fu fighting in your roller skates, do the Macarena with a grizzly bear, but just don't sit down because I move your chair. Stuff like that. It's like, it's just funny, man. And then That's Where You're Wrong is another really good song. I enjoy that. Reckless Serenade is a nice chill thing. This album is essentially the soundtrack to summer. If there ever was one by Arctic Monkeys, you could play Suck It and See and on a sunny day sitting in your garden and it wouldn't miss, you know. Next up, we've got the most popular album and the album that broke America and made them massive. I will say this, I did not like I didn't listen to Arctic Monkeys until just before the latest album came out, so this is me looking back. I've learned quite a bit about them. So this is AM, which I'm sure everyone has seen this this album cover, for better or for worse, plenty of times. So yeah, this is the Nevermind of Arctic Monkeys. Although Nevermind is better than this album, but very, very radio friendly. Not that they weren't radio friendly before, but it's very like Like, it's very on point with like what a radio would want of a rock song. Everyone's heard Do I Wanna Know or Are You Mine. This album for me is worse than Suck It and See, but I understand why a lot of people would disagree with that. But there are some songs in here that are really good. For example, Knee Socks is a really good song. I love all of that song. It's even the wee like sort of like operatic bit or not, that cuts in between, and it's like a beginning in the main street. That it's cool. Mad Sounds, it sounds like that Velvet Underground song. Mad Sounds is amazing. I love that song. Fireside's a cool tune. Snap Out of It is catchy. That is the common theme with this album, is it's just all catchy stuff. So Do I Wanna Know Are You Mine? Arabella's a really good song. But my personal favourite on this album is Number One Party Anthem. I just think that the way that Alex Turner is able to write sort of, not necessarily sad songs, but just, I don't know, just not poppy songs. The lyrics are thought out and stuff like that. It's just, Number One Party Anthem for me is my favourite song on this, and it's one that I would play consistently. And then finally, this video is running a bit long. I have Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. I have 2 copies of this. This album is our joint best album with the first album, and possibly Humbug. This album is far too good. When it came out, obviously it caused a massive schism, because there was people that wanted to hear I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor or Are You Mine again, which, by the way, why? And then they made this, which is like essentially David Bowie meets Space. Well, we already did meet Space. What am I talking about? But like, this is like, I'd love to do a separate video just talking about this album. Again, not all of the songs I like. I don't like Bat Phone, and I'm not massive on She Looks Like Fun. The rest of it is fucking brilliant. It's too good. These 2 songs for me, Star Treatment and The Ultra Cheese, are, every time I listen to them, it gets better. And I've listened to this album. When this came out, I listened to it so many times. I used to sit by myself and listen to it, and then I'd go to my friend's house and we'd just play to death, and I'm still not tired of it. It's so good. You go from Star Treatment into 1 Point Perspective into American Sports, Tranquility Base Hotel, Golden Trunks. 4 Out of 5 was the single that they brought out, which obviously caused that schism initially, where people were like, oh, I hope the whole album doesn't sound like this. I was glad it did. This is so good. I got the pre-order for this because it came out at the time. I've got 2 copies of the pre-order. This is the booklet it came with, and the booklet's really cool. It has like sort of like clear paper with the lyrics on it and things like that. It's actually really cool. And it's pressed on this grey silver, I don't know what the colour name is, but it's pressed on this. But yeah, this album is genuinely one of the best things I've ever heard in my life. I've listened to, obviously I'm 21 years old. I haven't listened to every album ever. I've listened to a lot of music, and this is, it's indescribably good. It actually, it upsets me how good this album is, because it's just like, how can someone make this? Like, even with David Bowie albums, and I'm gonna say this right now, I love David Bowie, but even with Bowie albums, when this album's compared to Bowie, I don't hear, well, obviously I hear Bowie in it because there's the piano and the lyrics. For example, the most Bowie-esque lyric is in the Ultra Cheese, where it says, we'll be there at the back of the bar, dressed like a fictional character in a place they called America in the Golden Age. That's David Bowie 101. That is an amazing lyric and clearly Bowie-esque. but this is its own thing. And I've seen people review it and things like that, and they compare it to like a Father John Misty or whatever. I don't get that, because Father John Misty is Elton John. Like that the album about comedy or something like that. I listened to that the other day. It's Elton John. It's an Elton John album. It's nothing like Tranquility Base, with the exception of a piano, which is not comparative enough. Anyway, then we've got a couple of sort of bootlegs and things like that. This was the time that I saw them at Transmit Festival in Glasgow, which is where I'm from. This was in 2018, and someone pressed a bootleg of the set. The full set isn't there, but there's enough of it there for me to have copped it, and this will always be in my collection. Then we got the most recent release, which was them live at Royal Albert Hall. This is one of the best quality sounding live albums that I've ever heard. This is so good. We'll open this up, and it has a photo of the crowd that was there. It comes with an incredible poster that I'm waiting patiently to get a frame for. This is it here. It's beautiful. They actually brought out quite a lot of posters at the time of Tranquility Base, and I wanted all of them. So it's double disc. I'll pull out one. I'm sure it's clear vinyl. Yep, it's pressed on this clear vinyl. And again, it is just their live set that they played at the Royal Albert Hall. I'm assuming the Royal Albert Hall was in London. I'm not entirely sure. I think it is. It must be. Yeah, it's London. No, well, yeah, it's London. Obviously they're from Sheffield, north of England, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, this is a great live album. I have the Transmit live album, which obviously is cool to have, but this is like a proper release and has high quality recordings of it. Then we've got a couple of things. I have the Live in Texas album that they released in 2008, and it was them playing at a festival in Texas, I'm sure. With it's just pressed on black vinyl, and it's stuff ranging. It's basically the first album and a couple of singles that they'd released before that. So yeah, this is a cool album as well to own. I have the box. I just rather not put the stuff in the box. It came with postcards. I actually don't know where they are anymore. Then we've got a couple of records here. Astora 2007, which is a bootleg of them playing live in London. And again, this is second album stuff. As you can see, it's got stuff in the first and second album. So if you're reading this, it's probably too late. It's there, Brian Storm, and then it's got some stuff from there. And so yeah, again, I listened to this really, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to get this, don't I? Because it's Arctic Monkeys, and I love Arctic Monkeys. Then I've got a sort of essentially an Alex Turner album. This is Arctic Monkeys Unplugged, which is basically various radio acoustic showings of or recordings of them on the radio playing their songs. So it's stuff like XFM, Clyde Radio, Fox 993, and it's all just basically Arctic Monkeys songs, him playing them acoustically on his own. So yeah, it's a chilled out album, and their chilled out songs are so like, they just hit, man. They just hit. And then that's it. I do have 7-inch singles of Arctic Monkeys, but I feel as if I may pull them out in a video where I just show off my singles. I don't think it's essential. I've got some old stuff like Leave Before the Lights Come On, things like that. So yeah, that is essentially my Arctic Monkeys collection. If I would like to do separate videos on each album, explaining, breaking them down and things like that, but for the moment, that is what I've got. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or whatever, and let me know if you want me to talk about anything else. Goodbye.